before we get into this. A comedian telling jokes is one thing. Why? Because it's a comedian telling jokes. And we can speculate whether Joe Biden wants to, undermine Kamala Harris's campaign, which is absolutely hilarious to think about. But when it comes from the sitting president of the United States, and given these people's track record, it seems to me like they're openly telling you who the hell they are.
State of Delaware, they're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His demonization of Zionism.
The White House is trying to say that what President Biden was saying, they're putting an apostrophe there in supporters, saying it's the singular, I guess referring to the comedian, that supporters comments. I mean, it's hard to really look at that when you can listen to it for yourself.
Put it into a larger context of your recent comment comparing the Sunday Trump rally to a Nazi rally. And I would also throw in there Obama's bitter clingers, guns and religion comment from a while back, the deplorable line from Hillary Clinton's campaign, and the way that Democrats are seen by some voters as disrespecting them. And I have to ask, does that undercut this closing message of unity from your campaign?
No, certainly not.
Okay, guys, before we respond to all that, make sure you guys please go ahead and cut the notifications on for the channel so that way you guys are notified when the video comes out. Also, if you guys can, please make sure you guys are hitting the like button. Once again, 2 of the videos released yesterday got up to about 7 or 8 likes, and all of a sudden now they're back down to 3 or 4. YouTube finding a way to suppress smaller channels. Make sure you guys are, in fact, hitting that like button so that way it will send a message to the algorithm that the video needs to go up. Make sure you guys do that. Also, something else too, make sure you guys share the video before we really dive into this right too, so that way the message gets out, so that way we can beat the censorship. And let's go ahead and get into it. Okay, so that little bit went viral last night, and you guys obviously saw in the montage there that the Harris campaign has decided to send Tim Walz out to basically say that, no, this right here does not undercut the message of unity, yet it definitely undercuts her speech from last night, which she did in Washington, D.C., which really just devolved into the same normal nonsense that it devolves into. I found that out after I was at the game. I watched the World Series last night to try to take a bit of a chill pill. But of course, this right here completely stops any type of fake outrage that these people in the mainstream media have with Tony Hinchcliffe's joke. So yeah, we got a lot to discuss. And I want to go ahead and say this before we get started. These people think that it is a good idea to say that Joe Biden meant garbage or supporters in the sense that there's an apostrophe there to be singular. I'm a little bit confused by that. I don't think it landed very well. I mean, you've been talking about Tony Hinchcliffe's Puerto Rico joke like it didn't land. I'm pretty sure that this excuse that you guys are seeing out of these people is obviously not landing at this moment in time, and we'll just leave it to CNN to
It would be
cry
great
about it.
if she could run on what Biden has done, because what Biden has done is actually tremendous.
I agree.
And I think it is absolutely bananas that she has to even think of distancing herself from the Jobs and Infrastructure Act, from the CHIPS Act, from the PACT Act. We haven't done infrastructure. Why are you laughing?
Please keep talking about the CHIPS Act. If you look at the polling on the issues, Joe Biden is 60% disapproved on every single major.
He was in his house, the White House. He was in his house doing this, and the reporting is that there are places that he can be useful, but he's not everywhere like you might expect a sitting president to be for his vice president.
I don't know that I would expect this president to be everywhere in this moment. I mean, look, a critical element, any coach will tell you, any CEO will tell you, a critical element of running a team and winning is assessing the strengths and weaknesses of your team members and making sure you allocate them in the right way. Joe Biden has never been a big arena speaker. He's never been the most fluid speaker. And by the way, as someone who had a stutter growing up, it's very obvious to me that there's an apostrophe at the end of supporters there. He was referring to the garbage spewed by supporters, not simply the supporters themselves. But Joe Biden has been on the campaign trail. He's best getting ice cream in Maryland like he was today. He's best showing moments of empathy in Arizona like he was last week. He's best with union folks as he was in Pittsburgh last week as well. You use people where they are best. You put Obama in a big arena, you put Michelle in a big arena, and you put Joe Biden in front of a bunch of union people doing retail politics.
You could make the argument that they would be fine if Joe Biden wasn't anywhere near a
There's
microphone.
more from that segment, so don't worry. We will get to that here in a second. But, dude, a lot of people right now are wondering that Joe Biden, they're wondering if Joe Biden is actually intentionally trying to sabotage the Harris campaign. And I did do a bit of a video on this a while back that I'll link in the description box. But there is this report from Axios that basically details that Kamala Harris is trying to separate herself from Biden. And apparently Biden was supposed to join her at a rally. And apparently the notice got messed up. But, of course, he did not end up there, which is kind of a mistake on her end because Kamala Harris has this problem with connecting with working class voters. And I'm pretty sure when he said garbage, I'm pretty sure the first thing that went through working class voters' minds was Hillary Clinton's comment. Of course, the Trump team, they immediately seized on it, as you guys will see.
Joined by some incredible people. I already mentioned Senator Marco Rubio. Marco, will you come up here, please? Come on. Good man, this one. Thank you, Marco. Thank you. You want to say something? Go ahead.
All right. Well, I wasn't going to say anything, but I have breaking news for you, Mr. President. You may not have heard this. Just moments ago, Joe Biden stated that our supporters are garbage. Are garbage. He's talking about the Border Patrol. He's talking about nurses. He's talking about teachers. He's talking about everyday Americans who love their country and want to dream big again and support you, Mr. President. And I hope their campaign is about to apologize for what Joe Biden just said. We are not garbage. We are patriots who love America. And thank you for running, Mr. President.
You have, remember Hillary, she said deplorable? And then she said irredeemable, right? But she said deplorable. That didn't work out. Garbage, I think, is worse.
It could be. Could very, very well be worse than deplorables. But I tend to like exactly how it is that one of the first people that Democrats sent out there to take care of this mess was Josh Shapiro in Pennsylvania, whom, by the way, if you listen to Barnes and Barrett, then you will know that Pennsylvania has a lot of Shapiro Trump voters, meaning they have a lot of guys who voted for Donald Trump, a lot of women who voted for Donald Trump in 2020, but then voted for Josh Shapiro in 2022, also had intentions to vote for Donald Trump in 2024. Yes, the split ticket voter does, in fact, exist. I live in a state that tends to be very, very conservative, yet for whatever reason, we keep electing Democrat governors while keeping the state assembly. The House, of course, stays Republican, and we normally vote Republican on federal level. But, of course, on the state level, we tend to leave our governors as Democrats while we tend to vote for Republican state representatives because, obviously, they hold the Democrat governor in place. It's one of the reasons why it is that North Carolina will never, ever, ever, under any circumstances, elect an actual progressive. Even though Josh Stein may apparently be one behind closed doors, we really don't know that yet. But still, unless the Robinson campaign gets it in gear over the next 5 days, I see this state right here remaining with a Democrat governor. To get off that tangent and get back on the topic that we have, I think that sending Josh Shapiro out there, which I don't think they really sent him out there. I think that he was actually already there to do the interview. It's just that Caitlin Collins would basically go ahead and basically give him the bad news, and this would be how he responds.
To something that is making the rounds right now, certainly by the Trump campaign, by Senator J.D. Vance and others, what President Biden had to say about this tonight.
I want to say this. Something about Caitlin Collins' mouth. It looks like the Joker. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. The girl has got some, I don't want any falling over her eyes, but she does have a pretty set of eyes. It's just the mouth just kind of distracts from that. I'm just saying that you look a little bit like the Joker.
And just the other day, a speaker at his rally called Puerto Rico a floating island of garbage. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His demonization of things is unconscionable, and it's un-American.
Governor, first off, just what's your response to that comment from President Biden, where it sounds like he's calling Trump supporters there garbage?
Yeah, look, I had not heard that until now, Caitlin, so I'm kind of giving you my fresh reaction to it. I would never insult the good people of Pennsylvania or any Americans, even if they chose to support a candidate that I didn't support.
Back on point, yeah. The Democrats right now are scrambling to how they're going to fix this problem. They're scrambling, wondering exactly how it is that they're going to fix this issue in the last few days. You see, at this moment in time, the Harris campaign is focused on one thing and one thing only, calling Donald Trump a fascist over and over and over again. And she's even been told, and you guys will see it in the Axios article, that calling him a fascist is not working. They've tried calling him a fascist. They've tried attacking his character. That right there is not working. And of course, in the last few days, you tend to either A, go extremely negative or go extremely positive. Now, Jesse Waters, and I'll link the video in the description box that are not provided for this video here, he indicated that what was really going on was that the Democrats are doing all this to justify everything that happens post-Election Day. Because we do know that there is going to be some craziness post-Election Day. I did say that I was going to cover it as part of the reason why it is that the content shift won't begin till next year. But still, though, the point is this. You're going to see some crazy stuff going on, and Jesse could, in fact, be correct. The real reason why it is that they're calling Trump supporters garbage, the reason why it is they're going with the old Nazi angle, the fascism angle, is so that way it justifies whatever decisions that they have going forward. But still, though, at the same time, that does not answer the question of why it is they feel the way they do. Well, let's go back to CNN for a second, and Scott Jennings, of course, who, by the way, is trying to walk a fine line because he's already seen one anchor, one person, Ryan James Grodetsky, get fired for basically showing concern to a, I'm not going to say anything else because for some odd reason YouTube loves to censor certain types of videos like they're trying to censor mine and many of the small content creators out there. But let's let Scott kind of explain what I'm talking about.
Let me just accept the most charitable framing of this, which you just gave. Why is he sitting in front of a laptop at the exact same moment Kamala Harris is out on his backyard trying to give the closing argument to her campaign? What in the world is he doing? Now, I don't accept your framing of it personally because I actually do believe he, Harris, the Democratic Party, and most of their campaign do believe that half the country is garbage. They've also said people who go to Trump rallies are Nazis. And so it's pretty apparent the disdain with which they hold half of the country in.
That's not true. We've already litigated it in Kamala's speech tonight.
But as a tactical matter today,
no, but you don't just get to say
why in the world is Joe Biden giving remarks at the same time as Kamala Harris?
I'll give 100%. I remember Barack Obama's Gods and Guns comment back in 2008. You would have thought that that particular comment would have destroyed his campaign, or it would have at least done some damage. But then again, though, the GOP found a way to nominate a very, very weak candidate in John McCain. So there you have it. No lies detected. And this is what the Democratic Party does. You're a fascist. You're a Nazi. You're evil. Gods and guns. Clingers. You're racist, sexist, xenophobic. This is what the hell these people do. Which is also hilarious because they always accuse you of what they are guilty of, okay? I don't think I need to go back through the annals of history to Barack Obama's administration. Every day it was something brand new, some brand new insult. The man was a literal drama queen. But there are some people labeling this as a potential October surprise. You see, there's one part of the video I did not show that I'm going to show to you guys here in a second, which involved an interview with Victor Davis Hanson on Sean Hannity last night, but also Vivek Ramaswamy, who had this here to say.
The October surprise had just arrived. This is the basket of deplorables moment. That's what Hillary Clinton said in 2016 that tanked her campaign. Well, that's the Joe Biden, Kamala Harris moment right now. I am a little bit more cynical about this one, Sean, in the following way. It might look like Joe Biden's usual cognitive deficits kicked in, but the reality is we know his family is secretly probably rooting for Donald Trump, not Kamala Harris, to win because they feel really vengeful about how they were treated. So if you're in their shoes, you know that kind of comment is actually going to tank Kamala Harris. So we're going to put those kinds of motivations to one side. But regardless, it is a welcome October surprise because let's take a big step back. What's going on here? The wheels are coming off the car. They're spiraling. And now you see the accusations of the other side being Hitler or piles of garbage. You're going to hear a lot about threats to democracy in the next week. They are flailing, Sean. They understand Americans are not falling for their trick anymore. Donald Trump has a record that he's running on. They're frustrated by it. And I think it's, in some ways, a beautiful thing for our side to watch this completely come undone and turn the page on this ugly chapter of our history.
Basically, it's something that the only thing it's going to do is just motivate any conservatives who may have been on the fence about possibly going out and voting to vote for Donald Trump. It's basically the same exact effect that Hillary Clinton's deplorables had. However, a lot of people, of course, think that Joe Biden is, in fact, doing this on purpose. on purpose. He's going dark Brandon, dark MAGA. That right there is what he's really doing. And it's very possible that he is. I mean, like I said before, the Axios article. There's also a Fox News piece on it as well. And I want to say the New York Post also reported on it as well as a couple of other news outlets by publication. The point is this right here. This right here was an absolute stupid error from Joe Biden, but it may have been an intentional error, which of course I've alluded to here on this channel, but still, this doesn't detract from the fact that this is how these people really and truly feel about you. This is how they feel about conservatives. But there is one more thing that needs to be talked about, and that right there is obviously the historical precedent of how it is that these people feel. And there's something else too about this, and I said this earlier, that if you tell jokes as a comedian, you're doing it as a comedian, but as the president of the United States saying something like you're garbage, or as Victor Davis Hanson alludes to in his segment with Sean Hannity, he called them chumps. Yeah, it tells me that there's a deep-rooted discontent and hatred for your subjects. But let's watch some of this.
Aren't they really also saying that his supporters are too? Are they really thinking, isn't that what they really think of anybody that disagrees with them, in spite of Kamala's, new written speech tonight, which I'm sure was, gone over with a fine-tooth comb?
Well, that's exactly what they mean when they talk about rallies, because rallies are people, and that's what they're calling Nazis. But this wasn't a mediocre comedian that went off script and gave a poor joke that was kind of repulsive, that Trump disowned, didn't know who he was. This wasn't a third party. This was Joe Biden himself, the former Democratic nominee, Kamala Harris's boss, and the President of the United States. And this came out the same day when she was telling the nation that she's a unity candidate and she's not going to be divisive. And this comes from Joe Biden, as was pointed out, who had used the term chumps.
I work as hard for those who don't support me as those who do, including those chumps with the microphone out there.
Yep. Chumps. We'll get back to the rest of it here in a second. You can't tell us that you're running a unity campaign, which to me, I personally think the Kamala Harris campaign is just a disorganized mess. They believe that the media was going to get them over, but these people fail to understand is that Donald Trump kind of owns the media's souls. He kind of owns these people. He kind of knows how to trigger them and get them to say stupid stuff. In a lot of ways, as I've said before, it's not the American people, or it's not Republican versus Democrat. It feels more like the people versus the media, the people versus the establishment, the people versus the machine. I think that right there is the best way to describe this election. But let's continue.
And if you remember, he went to Pennsylvania in 2020, Sean, and he called the people of Pennsylvania that supported Trump chumps. He called them another time, on another occasion, dregs. And this follows Pennsylvania voters who were also called clingers by Barack Obama. So there's a pattern here of looking down at the middle class. And, it's very ironic because we're seeing the same iteration this campaign. We got the same actors. We got Biden, who's used the term chumps and dregs. Now he goes to garbage. We've had Hillary. She's used deplorables and irredeemables. Now she's talking about Nazis and fascists. And then we have the Obamas who have used the term clingers. Now they're back again, and they're talking down to African-American men as if they have false consciousness and they're not able to formulate their own independent thoughts. So there's a pattern here of this elite left who talks down and denigrates people of the working class. And they should ask Kamala Harris tonight, what is your relationship with that comment? That's your president, that's your boss, you disown it, you said you were a unifying candidate. What are you going to do about that? And I think she's been very careful. They should put her on the spot now.
That pattern has always existed with the same people. But let me say this, though, before I close the video. We could talk about Joe Biden going dark Brandon, dark MAGA. We can laugh at it even. It is kind of funny. We could talk about that. We can speculate on whether it is that he's throwing Harris under the bus. We can speculate if he's throwing everybody under the bus, including Obama. We can speculate on that. But the truth be told is this, right? At the end of the day, it comes back to the same thing. This right here is who the hell these people are. All right? This is who the hell these people really and truly are. Make sure you guys please hit the like button, subscribe, share the video, sign off in the comment section. This video will probably come out at about 2 or 3 o'clock this afternoon. I should have a third video out. Yeah, the YouTube algorithm's kind of beating me up a little bit, so I'm posting a little bit more. So, yeah. Still, though, please hit the like button, subscribe, share the video. Definitely make sure you hit the like button because YouTube is taking away likes off of my videos, keeping them from going up the algorithm. So make sure you guys please do so and hit the notifications bell, and I'll see you guys later.